Okay, last pin here, pin 21, and we got this chromed up gilt that's very uniquely marked. That's going to be tag 70. She's ear notch 24-2. She would be a no turning back. Here I am on next contestant's mother, or excuse me, next contestant's aunt. Mother of this female would be the $11,000 foundation female that Brockman donated the Texas Elite 2 years ago that we bought. This would be her first litter. Stuck a couple of those here in the sale. This gilt's very unique in terms of her pattern there, and to go along with it, I think she's got a lot of good in terms of being a big-legged one that's really square-bodied, square-built, very good in terms of her rib shape and her center. Shorter-bodied gilt that's one of those to me that looks like she can be grown very slow. Show her on the weekends there, and can stretch a long ways in terms of her endpoint goals. Still clean fronted, neat headed and necked. She does have a slight bobble to her head that's pretty subtle, but just want to make note of that. Very, very hard to detect, but she does have just a slight one. Little bit of one that's got a slight break in her tail as well. We occasionally will get those out of no turning back, but I think it flags up nicely and still has a good look to her hip and squareness to her pins there, and has just a great big square kind of hind leg to her to go along with that. So genetically very, very good, all Brockman bred with many of his key sows stacked in there multiple times. So neat pig, neat pedigree once again. The off-belted gilt that's a little paler there is another 7 litter. We've seen several of those throughout the preview so far. She's tagged 68, ear notch 7-5. She's going to be a Cage the Elephant Guns Up, another one whose mother would have won the Hamps at San Patricio County a few years ago and has been such a good generator for us so far. This is going to be one of the few opportunities to buy a gilt out of that sow. Neat pig. I like her quite a bit, especially for a market setting. She has just lots of horsepower, lots of shape. Still has a very neat look to her when she'll throw her head up and come across. Her extension from her blade forward, cleanliness right there at the base of her throat, I think is really good. Like the shape and the sweep to her rib and her body a lot. And again, like I mentioned, very muscular and very powerful. One of those that, being on this self-feeder, all she can eat 606 right now is kind of benefiting some of the greener ones, but one that has this much natural stuff to her, it probably is a little antagonistic to her at this point. She needs to get home to someone that'll kind of mellow her feet out just a little bit, and I think this hog can get a lot better in a hurry if we actually get her stripped down just a little bit, get her a little bit more middle of the road in terms of her muscle, and reduce that muscle tension that she maybe has right now just based off the feed that she's on. I think there's a lot of good to that pig and a great chance for her down the road in a market hog type setting. Good pair of pigs. Once again, tags 68 and 70, ear notch 7-5 and 24-2 respectively. Okay, tag 69, ear notch 17-83. This would be a Susfu, call for quote, never before. Grandmother of this litter would be the mother of the champion heavy hamp at Houston in 22 of Trevor Pachadas. This was I mentioned earlier that the Susfu deal, it seems like perhaps the most valuable component to it is going to be the females that he leaves us with, and there's a couple blue gilts in this litter that we're going to hang on to. This will be the one gilt in the litter that we're going to offer for sale, belted gilt here, that I think very, very representative of what that boar is capable of. I think this is just a good feeding kind that presence, angularity of skeleton, comfort in combination with the right spread, the right shape, and the right kind of muscle pattern on a baby pig, I think are going to make this one of the best gilts in the sale when we get to the end. I like this one a bunch, guys, and what makes her unique, I think for you crossbred folks that maybe flip through this, her length of hip is incredible. For a hog that's still that big pinned and that shapely behind, she's long-hipped. Her angle of her hock is great, and the way she uses her hind leg is the way it's supposed to be. Very proud of this group of pigs as a whole in terms of quality, but in particular, I think their rear leg structure is what I've been very focused on the last few years of trying to put these together. Front feet sturdiness and the shape to their hind leg, I think is very, very neat. and very, very hard to put into these crossbreds today. And that gilt, I think, is a good representation of that. I love her maturity. I think that one is going to peak when it matters the most at the end, and yet we've still got a very good baby pig to look at here today. That's dark complected. Hair quality, I think, is very good to kind of add on to all of those things. So like that one a whole bunch, and again, she'd be on my short list of a gilt that could really play ball, I think, in terms of Tulsa and Dallas crossbred gilts, and still one that'll make a great market hog for somebody.